Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to Ross and Wizzy's Fan Fiction Power Hour. I'm your host, Ross Pitt Shark Hunter. And with me, as always, is your other host, Wizzy Puff. Say hello, Wizzy.
Hey, it's me, a Wizzy Puff.
Yes, that's right, my Italian friend. Which is weird because Wizzy is actually a French name. But, whatever.
Wizzy.
So, I have had an awful week. This week has just been fraught with stress and just busy days and no time to relax at all.
Jeez.
So I'm really happy that we're recording because this is like the first time in a while that I'm able to do anything that I enjoy.
Well, then let's make this an episode to remember.
Woo! But let me tell you, I actually do have a pretty interesting story. Sit down, let me tell you a short little tale here about a man. This week was the week of r/place. And let me tell you, place went on for way too long. It was super annoying. Everyone hated it. I was, of course, in the Brony faction. I was in the Discord server, placing a bunch of pixels for the Brony faction. And we have a little, place for diplomacy for other factions. And a man from the Monster Hunter faction came in. And this man made the best pitch to ever grace us. His voice was just booming, and he convinced us that we had to team up with the Monster Hunter faction. This man went by the name of John Capcom.
What?
So, John Capcom, everybody in the Brody server absolutely adored, to the point where we basically just took him as our own. We stole him from the Monster Hunters. And
it's just you have to team up with us, and then it's just actually, you have to come to our side, but we're not taking any of your other Monster Hunter pals, just you, pal.
So yeah, we absolutely love John Capcom, and we love him so much that we made an entire thing for him in r/place.
Nice.
We just wrote out his name, and it stood there till the end. Granted, it was only built on the last day, but still, it was fantastic. And he's not a brony, but we convinced him to watch the show with us. So now there are just John Capcom watch parties where we're watching the show with him, and he seems to be enjoying it, and I love that.
That's amazing.
Oh, yeah, also we've basically taken him up as our god. We made a John Capcom Reddit server, and now there's a Discord fan group.
Oh my god, nice.
They've drawn his OCs.
They've put him in the Sistine Chapel.
Yep. It's been very funny, and I really hope that he's taken this all well, because it was sudden fame very fast.
Well, I mean, to be fair, this is the guy who invented Capcom.
No, he would never do something that disgusting.
The founder of Capcom, John Capcom.
So, that has been the light of my week. So, with that being said, today we're going to be reading Sunset Shimmer Orders a Pizza by Bootsy Slickmane. It's a tea for teen story. I hope it's not too offensive or vulgar. We don't really know. We haven't read it yet.
Yeah, I mean, Sunset Shimmer Orders a Pizza, that does kind of sound like something you'd find on one of those X-rated fan sites.
Porn.
That's not what I was going to say. I was talking about, X, like Twitter.
Hi, we're from the past, by the way.
Well, without further ado, we can get into Sunset Shimmer Orders a Pizza. That was terrible. Sunset Shimmer Orders a Pizza by Bootsy Slickmane.
Pizza.
Chapter 1.
Feeling chapter.
Pizza time! Sunset Shimmer shifted her hips a little as she stood in her living room, her cell phone pressed to her left ear. A voice spoke to her through the tinny speaker, and she replied.
Delivery.
She paused, right hand moving up to rest on her hip.
Yeah, that's right. One large, hand-tossed, pepperoni and Italian sausage on one half, mushroom, olive, and onion on the other. Uh-huh.
She reached up momentarily, scratching at the side of her neck.
Cash. Right, cool.
She pulled the phone away from her face, pressing one of the buttons and hanging up. She then immediately scrolled through her contacts list and dialed another number, bringing the phone back to her ear. Several seconds passed in silence before she spoke again.
Hey, yeah, they said it should be ready in about 40 minutes.
She shrugged, despite the person on the other end of the phone line not being able to see her.
Sure, if you don't have anything else to do, see you then.
She hung up the phone again, stowing it in one of her jacket pockets, and sat down on her couch. She sat there, twirling her red and yellow hair around a finger for a few minutes before she heard a familiar sound outside. She knew the purring of that V8, the drink?
Vegetables?
Whoa.
Veggie 8, whatever. I assume that's what the V in V8 stands for?
I never thought about that. 8 vegetables.
Yes, it has
That's probably
8
what it's made of.
vegetables in it.
8 whole tomatoes per can.
Is that stuff, like, legal?
I don't know. It can get you pretty messed up.
Because my dad never let me have any.
Really?
No, I'm kidding.
She knew the purring of that V8 engine quite well, and she stood up quickly as the noise ceased. She walked to the door, waited about 7 seconds, and then pulled it open.
That was fast.
She remarked.
Yeah, I was already on the way when you called,
said Flash Sentry with a smile.
Now, if Flash Sentry had that voice, the bronies would have hated him less.
They really wanted a more manly Flash Sentry. They didn't like how much of a pansy he was.
Yeah.
Sunset stepped aside, and Flash stepped onto the pale blue carpet of her apartment.
So you just assume I'd say to come over then?
Sunset inquired as she shut the door.
For all you knew, I could have been naked on my couch watching pony porn.
Ah, they should have marked this vulgar.
My, well, the profanity filter wasn't around yet.
There's a profanity filter?
Yeah. Well, not a profanity filter, but the tag.
And it's like automatic?
No.
Oh, okay. That would be cool if they like searched the fic for swear words and they're like, yeah, this one's got swear words, warning you. That way you can't get away with hiding them like some of these fics try and do.
Also, it's okay for Sunset to watch it.
True.
Watch pony porn. She was a horse.
It's just not okay for Flash.
Yes, exactly.
I was actually looking at one of the other fics earlier about Flash. It was something about like after realizing that both of the last women he had a crush on were horses, he questioned his sexuality.
Oh my god. But no, Flash has only ever shown interest in human women.
But
or women that look human.
Formerly horsewomen.
Sure, but if anything, it's worse for the horses.
That's true, actually.
And I don't want any of you guys to be dissing my girl Sunset like that, so shut the fuck up.
Flash furrowed his blue brow.
Pony porn?
It's porn with ponies, stupid.
I get it. Yeah, it's just weirdly specific.
He nodded and then shrugged.
And anyway, I could have just waited in the car or something if you'd been busy. But you weren't watching pony porn, so it doesn't really matter, right?
Sunset just sat down on her sofa, leaning back and propping her feet up on the coffee table.
Your grandma listens to this, right?
If she can figure out how. Leaning back and propping her feet up on the coffee table, she gestured an open hand toward the spot next to her, and Flash seated himself where directed. He hunched forward a little, hands clasped together just above his knees. Sunset crossed her legs.
I'm assuming you brought it with you?
Yeah.
Flash reached into his jacket, rummaged around a little, and then pulled out some weed. And then he pulled out a DVD case. He held it up, announcing,
Crustbusters 3, the best toast-based wannabe superhero movie ever made.
Toast-based? Like, a toast-based superhero?
Yeah.
Why are there, like, so many of those?
Well, toast-based wannabe superhero.
It's like the third time I've seen a piece of fiction have, like, a toast-based superhero.
You're not wrong.
He put it down on the coffee table, leaning back against the couch.
Unless you'd rather watch some pony porn.
Wow.
Sunset deadpanned.
I know that wasn't a deadpan, but I thought it was funny because the rest of my Sunset lines were pretty deadpan. You're an idiot.
So, what do you want to do until the pizza gets here?
Sunset crossed her arms, linking them together just under her ribs.
I don't see why we can't just start the movie now.
Flash held a hand out toward the TV across the room. replying,
I just hate having to stop a movie, you know?
It'd only be for like 12 seconds to get up and answer the door.
And then we'd have to resettle in and run the movie back so we don't miss anything.
Flash, that's so correct.
Yeah, he gets it.
Flash, like, understands me, dude. Whatever.
Was all Sunset said as Flash relaxed back against the couch again.
What do you want to do then? You're the one who wanted to come over so early.
He rubbed a hand over his chin.
I don't know.
He dropped the hand back to his thigh, staring at a spot on the wall near the TV. He sat there in silence for a good minute and a half before finally saying,
I ever tell you about the time I got arrested in Tall Tale?
Tall Tale?
Sunset inquired, one eyebrow lifting slightly as she turned to Flash.
Why'd you go all the way out there?
There was this Battle of the Bands competition at Tall Tale University. We thought we might have a shot, so we drove out there to join.
Sunset's
This
arms...
was written before Rainbow Rocks, by the way.
I still don't know what Rainbow Rocks is.
It's the sequel to Equestria Girls.
Oh, the sequel to the movie?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, and also, by the way, guys, speaking of the sequel to the movie, just as you should watch that movie, you should also read this story on your own to see if it really compares to us. If it does us justice. Or if you don't want to, that's fine. You could just, pretend that this is the story itself, and, well, you'd have to go into that link to like it, because you want to give us a like, obviously. Obviously.
Sunset's arms uncrossed, and she shifted in her seat a little.
No, I never heard about that. What happened?
Flash leaned forward, right elbow and left hand resting on his knees.
Well, we drove out there in Breakbeat's pool cleaning van during spring break.
You didn't take your own car?
This was 2 years ago, back before I got the Palomino. It took us 2 days to get there, and we were all pretty tired of sleeping in our cars, so we wanted a motel. We could only afford one room though, and it only had one bed in it. The motel was all full up too, probably because of the Battle of the Bands. Nobody wanted to sleep on the floor or in a chair, but it was only like mid-afternoon, so we decided to have a little contest to decide which one of us would get the bed.
Stupid insecure boys.
Right? Like, just be gay. Just be gay for the night, guys.
Yeah, God, it's not that hard.
Sunset muttered with a smirk.
Let me guess. Arm wrestling.
Flash shook his head slowly.
Nope.
Fucking.
Break suggested it, but nobody wanted to arm wrestle a drummer. So we had to think of something else.
That's a fair point, not wanting to arm wrestle a drummer.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a drummer without big biceps.
Mm-hmm.
Well, except for the, tying a drummer with, Muppet arms, you know?
Oh, yeah. Animal?
Yeah.
We got some milkshakes at Ice Princess, and we were on our way back to the motel when we had an idea.
Oh, I get it. Dairy Queen.
Oh.
I thought that was a character at first.
I don't blame you. That makes a lot of sense. I'm sure that Ice Princess is the mascot. Yeah, I'll be honest. If you didn't say it, I wouldn't have thought Dairy Queen.
Yeah. It was when it was at Ice Princess, I thought it was going to be at Ice Princess's house, but then I thought about it. I used my thinking cap.
Good job, man. I really appreciate that, because I'm too tired to think.
Oh boy. This is a good thing that I'm the one narrating this one tonight.
Yeah.
We were on our way back to the motel when we had an idea. See who can drink their milkshake the fastest.
You could have just flipped a coin and gone through a process of elimination.
None of us had any quarters.
But you just bought milkshakes. They gave you change, right?
Flash opened his mouth, but stopped suddenly as a look of slowly dawning comprehension took hold of his face.
Crap.
He whispered.
Well, anyway, we all sat down at our table at the motel and got ready.
How do you get ready to drink a milkshake?
We all swished hot water around in our mouths. That would make it so much worse.
They're men. What was that supposed to do?
We were kinda hoping it would make us warmer so we wouldn't get brain freeze. Anyway, we sat down and grabbed our shakes.
Flash held up his hand as though he were gripping an invisible cup.
Break had a strawberry, Ted had a peanut butter and chocolate combo, and I had a classic vanilla. To keep it fair, we had Break toss one of his drumsticks up, and we'd all start drinking when it hit the table. So he grabbed up a stick and hurls it right toward the ceiling. It hit it so hard it knocked some plaster into my shake.
Oh no.
But I grabbed it up as soon as that drumstick hit the table and started sucking it down anyway. Oh!
Gross.
I later died from asbestos.
And it's motel plastered too.
Flash waved both hands out in front of him in a sweeping motion as he continued.
The smooth vanilla washed over my tongue like a wave of pure bliss, making my taste buds sing like a chorus of fat, sugar-loving angels.
You should write My Little Pony fan fiction with this gorgeous narration.
I didn't have time to savor it, though, because there was no way I was gonna sleep on the floor. I ignored the taste of the sweet vanilla love and sucked on my straw harder. The thick goo was resistant to my charms at first, but a good hard stirring of my straw loosened it up, and I chugged on. Why is he so descriptive?
He's an artist, Wizzy.
Oh, that's a good point. He's a lyricist.
Exactly.
Flash smiled, moving his body about to mimic the scene he was describing.
I eyed my opponents from behind my straw. I could already see the pain in Break's eyes, and I knew what he was feeling. Brain freeze. The bane of every impatient ice cream addict since its invention. Water was building in his eyes as a hand flew to his mouth. Fingers parted to retain his grip on his straw. It was only a few more seconds before he dropped his cup of strawberry delight and cupped his hands to his forehead with a groan. Ted, meanwhile, was pulling on his straw so hard that his head was shaking. It was like it was gonna explode. In his haste, he hadn't stirred his drink, and a chunk of frozen peanut butter was stuck in his straw. He would have to clear it before he could continue, wasting valuable time.
The way he's narrating this is like a sports event.
Yeah, which is how Flash would narrate something.
Sunset Shimmer was leaning forward a little, having moved her feet back to the floor, and was watching Flash as he told the story.
Yeah, I was expecting a bit more Sunset Shimmer in this story titled Sunset Shimmer Orders a Pizza, but,
Yeah.
I'm not complaining. I'm tired. I deserve a break.
I smirked from behind my straw, assured that victory was mine, when my whole skull turned to ice in an instant. It hit me so hard and so fast that my reflexes got the better of me, and I accidentally crushed my cup, spewing my vanilla shake all over the table and my pants. The pressure just sent more of the shake up the straw and into my mouth too, which only made my brain freeze worse. Ted pointed at me and said, "Disqualified. It's supposed to go in your mouth, Flash, not on the table." I just held my head and sat back in defeat, watching to see who would be joining me on the floor. Break was back to sucking on his straw, one eye squinched shut from the pain that I now shared. Ted was pounding his straw down into his cup like some kind of butter-churning robot gone berserk. Then he jammed the straw back into his mouth and started draining his drink at full force. It went on like this for about 10 seconds, until...
Flash stood up suddenly, holding his hands to his face.
"My eyes!" Ted screamed. "My eyes are snowballs!" Ted fell out of his chair, wailing and holding his frozen head. Breakbeat just laughed at him, though he was still cringing from his own pain. Ted managed to recover quickly, but he was still way behind. He tried to catch up, but Breakbeat was nearing the bottom of his cup. It was time for desperate measures. Ted tore the lid from his cup, tipped his head back, and poured the remaining half of his chocolate and peanut butter shake down his throat. His breaths got heavier the more he chugged, and I could see his eyes starting to unfocus and point in different directions behind his sunglasses. Tears were streaming from the corners of his eyes by the time his cup slammed back down on the table, completely drained. "Done," he choked out. Break let out a scream like a little girl whose toy pony collection had just burst into flame, and fell from his seat in defeat. Flash sat back down to...
Flash sat back down next to Sunset, who had a pillow clutched to her chest.
Ted had won mattress rights for the night, but anyone who looked at him could see that it had come at a cost. He always talked a little slower after that day.
Oh, no.
We all went outside, trying to warm ourselves up in the springtime sunlight, which isn't a pony name, I know it sounds like one. It
Oh,
helped.
yeah, Springtime Sunlight. I know them.
Definitely a close cousin of Sunset Shimmer.
Close is a bit pushing it, but yes.
It helped a little, but it still took us all some time to recover. We were all gonna turn in early that night when Ted made a discovery. The contest didn't start the next morning. It started that night. Apparently, I'd gotten the dates and times mixed up or something.
Wait,
Sunset cut in, holding up a hand.
the milkshake thing isn't what got you arrested?
Flash shook his head.
No.
Then why did you spend so much...
Flash held up his own hand.
I'm getting there! So, we're all scrambling to get our gear together when I realized that I never cleaned off my pants. They were still covered in vanilla milkshake, now dried in the sun and next to impossible to remove without detergent. The Battle of the Bands started in 40 minutes, and all the bands had to be there at least 30 minutes early for sound check. There wasn't time to wash and dry them, so I could either go on stage with stained pants, soaked pants, or find a whole new pair somewhere.
Sunset interrupted again.
You didn't bring any extra clothes?
Nope. So we all go to the university and check in. There was this tiny little room with a raised platform at one end and a door at the other, with barely enough room for, 30 people. We didn't care, though, because it was a gig, you know? A chance to get our names out there. But I needed pants! I had the guy stay there and try to stall while I ran out to find some place that had some pants. It was only when I walked out onto the street and had a look around that I realized it was late, and all the stores around were closed. I didn't know anyone at the university, and I wasn't about to go up to some random college student and ask them for some pants. The university did have an on-site laundry room, though, complete with coin-operated machines. I would need something to cover up while I waited for my pants, though. As if the university itself heard of my plight, this homeless guy comes rolling over with a shopping cart of junk and a big wool cloak on his back. I was pretty desperate, but I'm still not very proud of what I did, Jim. What did he do?
Oh, no. Flash, what did you do?
Next, I snuck up behind the guy, being as quiet as I could, and snatched the cloak right off his back. I took off running as he started spraying profanity at me like a garden hose. I yelled back that I would give it to him after the contest and managed to lose him around a corner. So then I'm standing in front of a washing machine, thick cloak wrapped around me, when I get a call. No, I didn't leave my phone in my pants. I took it out first. It was a call from Ted. He said that soundcheck was over, we were first up in the contest, and that there wasn't anything he could do to change it, and that we'd be disqualified if I wasn't on the stage in 5 minutes. So I booked it back to the room and rushed onto the stage to get started, but I couldn't reach my guitar to play. At that point, I just went screw it and threw all the cape off. Better to compete without pants than not to compete at all, right?
Hell yes. Flash gets it.
Might even get us if...
Wait, hold on. Is this young Flash? Is this underage Flash? This better not be underage Flash.
Don't think about it, buddy.
Might even get us a few more votes from the people with senses of humor. I stepped up to the mic and I went, "Good evening, Tall Tale You! I'm Flash Sentry. This is Breakbeat on drums. Over here we got the Ted on keyboard, and together we are Flash Drive. I hope you like what we've..." I trailed off as I noticed that everyone was just staring at me in silence. No clapping, no shouting, nothing, just stares. And that's when it hit me.
Flash leaned forward in his seat, hands coming together and his words coming out slowly.
You ever go through this phase where you start doing something different for no particular reason other than to try it? A few weeks of something out of the ordinary just because? Eventually, you go back to the way you were a little wiser, but you still had that period of experimentation. Well, this was during the period where I decided to stop wearing underwear.
Oh, God.
Damn it, Flash.
Mad cackling echoed through the tiny apartment, and Sunset Shimmer fell to the floor clutching her stomach. So this is why they call him Flash Sentry, huh?
Yes. Why do you ask?
Flash's head slowly slid down into his hand as she continued laughing at him. rolling on what little floor space there was between the couch and coffee table. It was almost a full minute before she crawled back up onto the sofa and retook her seat, and she was still snickering even then. Flash peeked out from behind his fingers as she said,
Okay, you can continue. So you just flashed the...
But Sunset broke down into another session of half-crazed, stuttering laughter, sliding back to the floor.
I guess that's his special talent.
It gets worse.
Flash sighed, bringing his chin up to rest on his hand.
It was right at that moment, with me standing in shock on the stage, looking down at my bare lower half, when the homeless guy from earlier busts into the room with 2 cops beside him. He points right at me and shouts,
No.
There he is! There's the one that got me from behind!
Sunset was still on the floor, wheeling her boosted feet like she was trying to pedal a bicycle, and pounding against the coffee table as she did so, still laughing uncontrollably. Tears were pouring across her face and onto the carpet as her whole body convulsed. She started experiencing a seizure caused from this fit of laughter. There was no saving Sunset Shimmer. Flash was grinning a little as he watched her rolling about.
So yeah,
He continued.
the cops dragged me off the stage and threw me into a holding cell for the night. The only other guy in the cell with me was this weirdo in a green hoodie who kept talking about finding the wormhole. I didn't know what he meant.
Wait, is there a reference that I should get?
I don't know.
I was wondering if this is like a reference to friggin' Dr. Hooves or something.
Perhaps this weirdo in the green hoodie knows something about the portal to Equestria.
I didn't know what he meant, but I kept my butt glued to the bench just in case. It wasn't too bad since the guys came by with my soaking wet pants a bit after a bit. I explained the whole thing to the cops. They gave me a fine, and that was pretty much it. We drove back to Canterlot the next morning and had a good laugh about it all the way back.
Flash took in a deep breath and sharply exhaled it.
And that's how I got arrested in Tall Tale.
I thought this was going to be like, it's called Tall Tale, so he's like making up the story. But I guess if it's a place Sunset knows of as well, then it can't really work that way.
Yeah. Although, he could still be making it up, and everything about that town is just fake.
Oh, true.
I guess it is, because this is just a story. So, none of this actually happened.
It's fiction based on fiction.
Huh. You ever wonder about the real problems in life?
I'd rather not. Like, I'll go back to regular fiction, but I'm not going anywhere past that. This reminds me of the song by Owl City.
Reality is a lovely place, but I wouldn't want to live there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Ironically, I just finished editing and released Vanilla Twilight, the episode,
Oh!
not the song.
Nice.
Coincidence. And I lost my place. Great.
Sunset flung an arm up onto a couch cushion, struggling to pull herself up as tears still leaked from her eyes. She paused at the edge, covering her mouth as more giggles escaped.
Tee-hee.
Flash reached over and offered her a hand, which she took and used to retake her seat once again. Her giggles slowly died down as she leaned back against the sofa. She sighed once they finally stopped, remarking with a smile.
Not bad.
She arched her back, her spine releasing several little pops as she pressed the back of her head into the sofa. She let out a little moan as she settled back in and turned her eyes to the clock on the wall. She squinted at it for a second.
Hey, wasn't our pizza supposed to be here like 10 minutes ago?
How far into the record? No, actually, we're only like 42 minutes in, so 40 minutes. Pizza should be here about now.
Yeah.
Flash is as quick as I am.
Wizzy is very quick in bed.
Hey.
You teed it up for me, Betty.
Listen, it's a race car bet. You're supposed to be quick.
Damn. You nailed that.
Not very quickly, but gracefully.
And yet I still beat you each time. Vroom, vroom.
Ross beats me with a hammer in the face.
They don't understand the significance of the hammer. You can't just say the hammer and then expect them to understand the deep significance behind that hammer.
It might have a history, but it doesn't change the fact that you are still beating me in the face with a hammer, even if it is ritualistic.
Wizzy.
Was it?
Flash checked the clock as well.
Maybe it's a busy night. Probably just running late.
Sunset just hummed, her smile fading. She crossed her arms once again, leaning sideways against an armrest, and waited. 5 minutes passed. 10 minutes passed.
Maybe we should go kick down their door and see what's taking them so long.
Sunset suggested.
But what if they deliver it while we're gone?
Flash asked.
I guess I could just go myself, though, and you could call me if it gets here.
No, I made the order. I'd have to be there.
Flash just shrugged. 15 minutes passed. 20 minutes passed. Sunset stood up suddenly.
Just call them.
Seriously? It's gonna be like, oh, our driver got arrested for flashing someone. Sunset stood up suddenly, her face twisted into a half sneer.
Flash, get your keys. We're going to see what the hell is taking them so long.
Flash got to his feet as she passed him, headed for the front door. He followed her out, pulling his car keys from his pocket and unlocking the doors as he approached. Sunset hung back a little to lock her apartment door, but was soon sliding into the front passenger seat of his Palomino as he started up the engine.
Maybe this is a future story. I mean, Sunset does have her apartment already. Yeah, they seem pretty independent.
True. Maybe this is.
So yeah, maybe Flash isn't underage.
Praise be. There is a Lord.
Of course, that story also happened 2 years ago. That fictional story.
Wait, which story? This one?
The one that he told.
Oh, right. Maybe he's like 90 right now. We don't know.
Oh man, these two old guys.
Oh,
What the hell is Flash's band doing at a university?
They never broke up. Imagine that dedication from high school to like 100 years old, and you're still together as a band.
That's like the best band ever.
Yeah. And they had to break up after that flashing incident. It was just time. His mind was going.
We should just switch to old voices.
I really want to read a story like that where that's the twist at the end, is that they were actually 90 or something.
They're just super old.
That would work either on a comedy or drama level.
I guess
Someone do it.
This isn't exactly what you're talking about, because what you're talking about is like they were this the whole time, but The Only Day kind of had that.
Kinda, yeah. With shifting of gears, the purring V8 carried them out onto the street. Sunset was fiddling with her phone as she drove. Making sure she had the right address for the pizza place. Satisfied, she leaned back against the heated seat. Eyes fixed on the road ahead, silence ruled the car for all of 4 minutes before Flash opened his mouth.
Pony porn? Really?
You are really hung up on that concept.
I'm just curious, why would you go there specifically? There's a lot of other weird things to get off to.
A wide, toothy, borderline sadistic grin made itself at home on Sunset's face.
Because I'm secretly a pony in a human form who came to this alternate universe through a magic mirror, and pony porn is the standard in my homeworld.
Oh, you can really picture that. Oh, God.
But that would also mean that this does not take place in the future.
That is a good point, because did Flash in the series know about them at this point?
He would have had to.
Okay.
So this is probably a prequel when they were dating.
Oh, God. When did he learn about that?
Oh, sometime during the finale of the first movie.
Okay. I was wondering if it was like chance that the person writing the story didn't know that he knew yet. So it could still be in the future, but...
There would have to be very specific leaps in logic for that.
Flash snickered a little, then just shrugged.
Whatever, sure.
A few minutes later, the car pulled into a near-empty parking lot, and Flash shut off the engine.
Maybe this is how they break up.
Oh, he's gonna flash another girl. That's how they break up.
I'm pretty sure he's the one who breaks up with her, but whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because she's a bitch.
Yeah, but,
It's
always...
canon past, at least. Here, she's fine.
I just always sort of see the trope where it's like the mean girl and the jock in high school, and the nice jock, and the mean girl breaks up with the nice jock and whatnot.
He's not really a jock. He's more of a punk rocker.
Really? I thought he was like a jock. Like sports and whatnot.
Nah, he's in a band.
Yeah, but I still thought he was...
He's got cool hair, dude.
Yeah, but like everyone in
Rainbow
world has
Dash
cool
is
hair.
the jock.
Rainbow Dash can be a jock too, but there's multiple jocks at a high school.
Yeah, but Rainbow Dash is the jock stereotype of the franchise. Like, she's the one that only fits that stereotype, really.
Doesn't he have a Letterman jacket, or am I just picturing him wrong?
Yeah, maybe a Paul Schaefer Letterman jacket from the David Letterman show. He's the musician from...
Oh, that was good.
Anyways.
Flash shut off the engine. Both climbed out and onto the cool pavement, shutting their doors almost simultaneously before walking up to the little building that bore a big sign reading, Pizza
Explosion.
That was good. That was good.
Thank you.
That's what they should use in the commercials.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm their mascot. Welcome to Pizza Explosion. I'm the mascot, Pizza Splody. Mr. Pizza Explosion.
Sounds like something from Rick and Morty.
It does.
Flash reached out to open the glass door, but it only rattled in its frame. He squinted through the dim evening light, reading the small piece of laminated paper taped to the door. After a moment, he said,
Looks like they closed about...
He paused to check his watch.
12 minutes ago?
What?
Sunset stepped up to the door, leaning against the window with her hands cupped around her eyes. The lighting inside the pizza place wasn't much brighter than it was outside, but she could still see that someone was in there, moving back and forth across the floor with a mop in their hands.
Time to kill.
God. She just activates her super sunset mode again and flies in there and is like,
Where's my pizza?
This would be the first time that she activates the super sunset mode, actually.
Okay, that's true. But maybe not.
Actually, she couldn't activate it because she doesn't have the crown yet.
Oh. Does she need a crown to do that?
Twilight's crown, it's the element of magic.
Ah.
She basically puts it on in the movie and becomes the demon.
Dang.
And I remember that later because that'll be on the test.
Okay. Sunset reached up a fist, pounding it against the glass 6 times in rapid succession. The mop wielder turned to her for a second, but then just kept mopping. She banged on the door again as Flash took a step away from her, but the mopper inside continued to ignore her. One corner of Sunset's mouth twitched, and she turned away from the door. A cruel smile came to her. A cruel smile came to her slowly as she took a few steps down the little sidewalk path next to the building. Flash took another few steps back as Sunset hobbled back over to the door with a newspaper stand held in her hands. Wait, what? Newspaper stand?
Whoa.
I was reading that as newspaper at first and then realized.
Hey, jerkwad.
She called out. The mopper turned again, dropped his mop, and ran over to the door as Sunset began to lift the little vending machine. He jammed his keys into the lock and swung the door open after a second.
Hey, lady, what's your problem?
Sunset dropped the newspaper stand onto the concrete.
My problem is that I ordered a pizza that never came. You know anything about that, mop jockey?
Mop jockey. The mop jockey glanced back on... The freaking narrator calls him mop jockey after that. Jesus. The mop jockey glanced back into the restaurant and then back to Sunset.
No.
Sunset reached in through the doorway, grabbing hold of the mopperman's shirt, and pulled him... I love how they keep referring to this person as different things. And pulled him out into the open air with her.
You sure about that?
She cooed, pressing the wide-eyed boy against the brick wall of the building.
Think about it. Maybe. We've only had one order ready in the last hour, but that was for carryout. I didn't order carryout. I ordered delivery. The order slip said carryout.
Sunset turned her head slightly to one side.
Flash, did I say carryout?
Nope.
Flash snapped, despite him not having any idea.
You said delivery.
That's what I thought.
She turned back to the mopperman.
So, mop boy, where's my pizza? Well,
The mop boy scratched at his neck a little.
We kinda closed, so one of the guys took it home with them. Where is he?
The mop jockey scoffed.
I'm not gonna tell you that.
Sunset wordlessly reached a hand up near his face.
She definitely said delivery, by the way.
Oh, you went back to read it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Pays to have 2 screens.
Nice. I wanted to do that, but I was planning on doing that at the end.
Well, if we want to do it at the end, boom, big surprise, it was delivery.
Sunset wordlessly reached a hand up near his face. A little rectangle of black metal grasped in it. A sliver of silvery steel slid out of it with a click.
He's at 1987 Cherry Street.
The mop jockey said quickly.
Please don't hurt me.
Sunset smiled, snapped the little black blade back into its base with another click, and tossed the mopperman back through the doorway. Jesus Christ! So this is really before she was good.
Yeah.
Like,
this is just like an alternate universe Sunset where she's like even worse.
Just like pulled out a switchblade on some random minimum wage worker at midnight.
Happy mopping.
She chirped over her shoulder as she walked back to the car with Flash in tow, pocketing the knife.
A little harsh, given the circumstances,
Flash commented as he buckled in.
I want my pizza.
Sunset growled.
And I'm gonna get my pizza. Drive.
Christ. She paid for that pizza, though.
Did she, though?
No, actually, no, yeah. She said she needed to be there to pay, so.
Yeah. She said cash earlier as well.
Oh, right, yeah. Sunset raised herself up slowly, eyes narrowed as she looked in through the glass window before her. It was a nice house, though it had quite a bit of older furniture inside. Looked kinda like a living room from an old sitcom. Sunset scanned left, then right, taking in everything in the room. After a moment, her eyes settled on a wide, flat box resting on a table not far from the front door, and she smirked. There was her pizza, waiting for her patiently. Her eyes snapped back to the left as movement caught their attention. Some guy in blue jeans and a red shirt was walking. Don't look at the thumbnail, guys. I swear it's not me. I would never steal Sunset's pizza. Was walking into the living room, zipping up his pants as he went. She growled softly as he approached the pizza box, but went quiet as he
watching?
Not Ponyborn!
Damn it.
But went quiet again as he veered away from it and headed for a shelf of DVD cases against one wall.
So, what do you think?
Flash asked from nearby as Sunset stepped out of the leafy shrub and onto the front door's welcome mat. She bent forward, eyeing the single brass deadbolt lock. Flash leaned in a little, whispering.
Do you think if we just ask?
Sunset slammed her boot into the door, blasting the engaged deadbolt right out of the frame in a shower of splinters. She strutted purposefully into the living room as the confused man recoiled in surprise.
Okay, so I know that this is a terrible thing that Sunset's doing and all that, but that's kind of hot.
Yeah. Pretty badass.
Okay, so as we've determined, this guy is Wizzy, so Wizzy, talk for a minute so that I can perfectly mimic you.
Sunset slammed her boot into the door, blasting the
Sunset slammed her boot into the door, blasting them. Okay, I got it. This is my Wizzy voice. What are you doing here?
Ross, that's your clown voice. Come on.
I'm sorry, they do sound very similar, though. You gotta admit.
I know they're very... I was gonna say the same thing.
Ross, that's your clown voice. Come on. What are you doing? I'm really trying to get you.
Oh, I thought you were just going to stick to the clown voice.
No, I don't want to do that anymore.
Okay. Said the homeowner.
Who are you?
Sunset didn't answer him. All she did was walk over to the table, pick up her pizza, and walk right back out, tossing a $20 bill behind her as she did so. That's not going to pay for the damage, but, at least she paid for the pizza.
Let's go, Flash,
she said as she jogged toward his car.
Like, now.
Flash bolted for the car, running around the front end and wrenching open the driver's side door. The jet black two-door peeled out a few seconds later, leaving a befuddled and pizzaless homeowner in his wake as he stumbled out through his broken doorway and started after them. What? Why would you... Oh, and stared after them. I thought that started. Like he was running after them. I was going to be like, what?
It's like the T-1000.
You mean he just It's like Sunset's doing all this badass stuff, just breaking everything, and then turns out that this guy's just some super killer robot and she messed with the wrong pizza delivery guy. Sunset plopped down the pizza box onto the coffee table several minutes later, and then plopped herself down on the sofa next to Flash. She held up Flash's copy of Crustbusters 3, saying,
Ready when you are.
Flash popped it into her DVD player and sat back against the couch. Sunset opened up the pizza box, pulled out a slice for herself, and put her feet up on the table as the movie started up. She took a bite, chewed for a second, and then looked down at the slice in her hand.
Where the hell are my olives?
Where did this story go?
Holy
this feels
shit.
so much different from the beginning.
Yep. Like Flash Century's story, it sort of mirrors that in that it starts off a bit more tame and lighthearted and then devolves into Sunset trying to murder someone.
You're right. I guess the beginning was the slice of life, though, and the end was the comedy.
Yeah, the ending didn't have much slice of life in that, but
Slice of pizza, that's a different thing.
I'll be honest, I've never really done that. I've never really done something close to that.
True, but I have done something close to. I've lifted one of those newspaper stands and threatened someone with it.
I respect it, I suppose. So yeah, that was Sunset Shimmer Orders a Pizza by Bootsy Slickmane.
Oh, amazing story.
Very good, very funny.
This is one of the funniest we've read in a while, I have to say.
Yeah, I think it was like, I was very worried starting off because this was written before Rainbow Rocks came out. And if you don't know, Flash Century before, I want to say 2019, was so hated by the fandom that it's not fun. It's not fun to read about, especially as someone who likes Flash nowadays. Like, that's like, man, that's a bummer. Kid did nothing wrong except steal your waifu. And like, he was a bland character, I can't deny that. But
I've always just liked Flash because I've only known about him from the fan fiction. So I guess the fans are better at writing him than the show writers.
And that's honestly true for most characters of the show, I'll be honest. Depending on the writer, of course.
I'd assume that would be the case with most side characters in general.
Yeah.
Is to actually give them the whole show to themselves.
Especially Elira, because she's written fantastically in nearly every story. If we're taking a collective of all characters in the fandom and all fan fiction versions of them, Lyra might just be the best. But I can't show you why. Because her best outings are multi-chapter, long-ass stories. Maybe someday we'll read Background Pony.
Oh man, is that one sad?
That one's sad.
I could tell from the title.
What was it by again? Oh yeah, it was by Short Circuits and Explosions. That's right.
Yo!
So, not a surprise that she's written so well in that.
What if we get a fic shipping Flash and Lyra?
Well, that would just be heresy. Because Lyra has to be with Bonbon.
Yep. What if Bonbon gets to be with Sunset?
Well, that would just be heresy. Because Sunset X Twilight for life.
But what if Twilight gets to be with the other Flash Sentry?
Then we've got a problem.
Do we?
Yeah.
Oh.
The end.
Oh, no.
I would have just called them. I don't know why they didn't do that.
Because they didn't want to be rude over the phone. That's
they would rather be rude in person.
Yeah.
I would also like to mention this author has another story called Swamp Shy, where Fluttershy is on her honeymoon with Swamp Thing.
Yes.
So that's interesting. It's not a very liked story, though.
Fluttershy has tea with Swamp Thing.
I
thought after his story was like that, and she was going to go get the pizza and everything, it was going to like have something about his story referenced later in her whole escapade. But no, she just went out and found her pizza and brought it home.
I was expecting her to get arrested.
Oh yeah, that too. You'd be like, haha, it's so funny, you got arrested, Flash, and then she gets arrested too. Like she should be, but
maybe this is social commentary about how women could get away with a lot more than men can. And
imagine.
that would be
women
bad.
can
bad social
literally
commentary.
throw a newspaper stand through a shop window and get away with it, while men can't even flash an audience.
What has our society come to? Great story, great story.
This has been fantastic.
You've been fantastic, Wizzy.
No, you've been fantastic.
Yes, I have. Thank you very much. So, thank you all for listening to Ross and Wizzy's Fanfiction Power Hour. I'm your host, Ross Pitch Shark Hunter, and welcome back to Ross and Wizzy's Fanfiction Power Hour. Wizzy, how the hell are you?
I'm doing great. So,
Awesome.
Today we're reading...
Record.
Record. That's all he ever tells me. All I ever hear is just, record, Wizzy. I never hear like, hey, Wizzy, how... Well, no, that's not actually true. He actually says, how you doing more often. Let's be honest.
And those are the only things that you're good for, frankly. So,
Whoa!